Well, you're correct when you look at the Constitution and defining states' rights, but realistically, there is a situation where the states do have some authority. The federal government has the ultimate authority, and when they do make that decision to say that you can't have segregation and things along that line, that's federal.
But that's what the California Supreme Court said. That's what the Iowa Supreme Court said, that banning same-sex marriage was against their constitution. Now, which one is it? I mean, you can't have
the answer.
The problem is, this is where it gets very tricky about states' rights.
I got the answer. Well, what you really
either you believe in the Constitution or you don't.
Absolutely, but what you really have to look at is it's not illegal to be homosexual. It's not illegal. There are some churches that will marry two men, two women. It is recognized.
There are?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There are.
Money.
That might be his, right there.
You know, three women.
Three women, that's it. I knew it was one or the other.
That's a different.
Well, I got you.
If I can interject, wait, let him finish. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, it's just what the state law is going to recognize. It's the tax benefits. It's not illegal. Three women and one guy who live together, or what have you. It really comes down to what the state is going to recognize as a legal.
I agree.
union.
You know, because if you live in a state that doesn't recognize it, and you want it recognized, then there is a solution. You move to the state that recognizes it. To me, that's why I think
that's what they should have done with Roe v. Wade.
Right.
That's exactly what
they should have done with the abortion issue. That should have been a states' rights issue.
This is what we should.
We'd have avoided a lot of problems.
Because then you could have, but then you have these social justice bullies out there who suddenly realize, wait a minute, there are too many people who think the same way in that area. We're going to have to bust them all up, like we're all a ball of mercury or something like that. But, let the states decide. Let the states decide. And then, therefore, you can live in a state. And I know that some would say, well, Chris, how do you know the state's going to be a place where you can make a living? And if it's that important to you, you will make a living there. Go to the state that if you want to be a gay married guy, you want to be a person who, whatever it is, states' rights, I say, states' rights.
Chris, that's why I think it's so important that we're seeing all the lawsuits against, like Arizona, the illegal immigration issue, and Obamacare. It's going to reestablish the role of states' rights, and I think you're going to see a huge turn.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm all for states' rights. But back to economics. We pretty much have nothing to compare to what's happened with our monetary policy. Going back to the only comparison is what happened in the German Weimar, and I think people do not realize what kind of terrible thing is about to happen here in the next couple of years.
Well, you're talking about the hyperinflation.
Hyperinflation.
Yeah, it's frightening. I agree with you.
And the Congress, with the free money down at borrowing levels, 80% of our money that the government borrows is 7 to 9 years or less, all the way down to 9. And that's historic problem right there.
So what do you do?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What do you do?
I think we see.
What do we do?
Yeah, well,
Hold your gun.
Those are the three metals you should be buying.
I think
gold,
that
silver, and lead.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% on that one. But I think that first of all, that most of us recognize this, and that means that we have to turn up the heat on our elected representatives to do something. And do something now, not, well, we're going to have to bring it to the committee.
That one way to address it would be to finally slash the federal budget? I mean, that seems to me to be the only reason that they could stop printing money. I think you're right about the 30s, but people need to study what happened with hyperinflation.
Even here in Minnesota, the candidate didn't say the only way we can save ourselves is go in and cut 25% of government. They're just going to laugh at somebody like that. And that's exactly what we need on a federal basis. I mean, the amount of entitlements that are paid out now are the highest ever. And what happens if we say no to that? What happens to the economy?
Well,
It's what happens when we've been on a spending binge for 30, 40, 50 years, and every Congress and every politician kicks the can down the road. And I have a hunch, like you, we are getting closer to the can. There's no place else to kick the can. Eventually, our currency becomes worth nothing.
So what do we do? In my opinion, you first of all you turn the heat up on the Congress. You turn the heat up on the Congress high in order to get them to do something about it. Other than that, the other side of it is how do you deal with this crash if it comes? Well, I would say, just in my own humble opinion, is I'd start talking with like-minded friends now. Because, I mean, if I get it right, what you're saying to me is we're headed towards a crash. Am I correct?
A crash of what? Of the stock market or a crash of
America.
Of
Of
America.
America.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, eventually,
Well, what happened?
comes due.
I mean, what happened in Weimar Germany? Eventually, the currency became worthless, and people literally it became a barter economy for a short period of time because nothing was worth anything.
I would say
That's
that
very frightening.
I mean, I'm a guy who I think a lot about this, and I think, okay, what can I do? What can I control? There's two things I can control. One, I can control how much heat I put on my elected representative. The other side of that is I try to control what do I do about my and my family's security. And so, in my opinion, you have to consider and figure out what is your best plan of action and prepare for those circumstances, whether it be how am I going to put heat on my elected representative, and if they fail us and we crash, how am I going to deal with that? And those are, realities you have to, I think each individual citizen has to come to a conclusion on that. But in my own opinion, I think you start finding like-minded individuals.
Can we remind people about this cocktail and conversation?
That's right. December 2nd, Cocktails and Conversation. Am I spooking anyone with that idea that you find like-minded individuals who see these things?
That's a good idea.
I mean, it's
Isn't
not,
that what the Tea Party is? I mean,
no, this is a little more serious.
Look, I think the Tea Party has come together because basically they're saying enough is
Yeah,
enough.
enough is enough is what
chaos.
said.
These people are not answerable to us. This is debt that nobody's ever seen, and every single Congress, in turn, kicks it to the next Congress.
And that reinforces the point we made earlier that it matters who we run in 2012. So pay attention and stay involved. And
I say
listen
we
to
form a
Chris.
commune and let me be in charge. Right, Cocktails and Conversation, December the 2nd.
Poor Richard.
Same place, Poor Richards.
Well,
That'd
that
be
was
great.
fun.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, yes, sir.
Hey, I'm not a doom and gloom guy, but
I am.
I don't like what I have to say. I think that it's not fixable, to be honest with you.
That's pretty doom and gloom.
What?
If that's not doom and gloom,
That
we're
was-
really in trouble.
that was-
By the way, the government's going down, the currency's worth, but I'm optimistic. I think things are fine.
I think if the Republican Party has any brains at all, they'll look for a mitigation strategy for when it does happen, because there's no way you can fix it. We're already spending $1.5 trillion more a year than what we're making. You cut the government, then you increase the unemployment rate, which puts more people on the dole. I mean, it's
Hard to argue with that logic, isn't it?
You know what?
Yeah.
And I think it's inevitable. I mean, the only way that I see around it, and this is for anyone that has economics, is that they'll take all the short-term debt, they'll crank it down to as low as interest rate they can, and they'll give everybody 30-year long bonds. Then they'll inflate the hell out of the currency and pay you back with worthless dollars.
Well, I think the inflation has already started now.
You know what?
Yesterday was a big move.
I don't have two nickels to rub together. I'm a poor guy that owns a little stupid store. But let me tell you something. If I had millions of dollars, I'd be very scared right now.
That's why Chris is so nervous.
What?
Many millions of dollars.
It's better to be poor today, trust me, because your money's going to be worth nothing.